Yo, what is up guys, your boy IzuKage here with part 4 of What If Naruto Had the World. So I've honestly been feeling pretty lazy lately, but the show must go on. So let's just get right into the what if.
Talk to me next. Look, dirty, big body Benz, I got you. Scope on the gun, get in here like a Mac. I can't fuck with these hoes, these bitches is true. I'm ready to do this, got niggas attack.
So we start this what if off where we left off last time with Naruto coming off the month training period to start the third stage of the Chunin exams. So during that month, Naruto increased his time stop abilities to 4 seconds and trained his accuracy to the point where it could be comparable to someone with a dojutsu, like that accurate. So the day of the Chunin exam comes around and Naruto and the other Genins meet up in the middle of the arena ready to go against each other. And the Kazekage, or in this case Orochimaru, since he killed the Kazekage and is now posing as him, he and Hiruzen are watching from the stands, and Hiruzen says to Orochimaru, or who he thinks is a Kazekage, "Naruto may not seem like much, but he has proven on multiple occasions that his strength and intellect in battle are far superior to even some Anbu in this village." And Orochimaru seemed quite interested in this, and that would explain his close encounter with Death against Naruto while they were in the Forest of Death. So, Sasuke fortunately this time was early, well not early, just on time, so we don't have to worry about that. And as they were about to start, the villagers who were watching from the stands, they brought popcorn because they were ready to see the Kyuubi get beat down, but unfortunately that's not how it's gonna go. So everyone of the Genin, Shino, Sasuke, Gaara, Temari, Shikamaru, Kankuro, and Neji, they're all staring Naruto down and he's really unfazed by this. So the proctor begins the match and Gaara launches a huge sand attack at Naruto, and Temari immediately turned to him and said, "Don't kill him, Gaara," and he responded, "I'm not breaking any rules." And the sand slowly surrounded Naruto and Gaara said, "Sand coffin," and clenched his fist close. Blood started seeping into the sand, and Gaara began walking off. And Hiruzen was on his feet worried, and people in the crowd said, "That's it? I thought this would be a decent fight." And Gaara, as he was walking, he got teleported back to Temari and Kankuro, and Gaara looked around confused and tried walking back to the where the audience is, to the stands, but each time he kept getting sent back to his original spot next to Temari and Kankuro. And Sasuke knew only one ninja was capable of doing this, Naruto. So he said, "Naruto, stop hiding like a girl." And a voice said from behind him, "But I'm not hiding." And Sasuke spun around quickly to see absolutely no one, and Naruto appeared behind him and said, "Looking for me?" Sasuke turned back around and got punched across the face. Gaara saw Naruto and said, "Why didn't you die?" And Naruto laughed and said, "Are you sure?" And he points to the pile of sand, and the body turned out to be one of a sand shinobi. And people were thinking, but how? We literally saw him get covered. But Naruto had stopped time and swapped his place with one of the sand shinobi. So Gaara started throwing piles and piles of sand at Naruto, but Naruto, he just walked through it, being protected by the world. And then he stopped time and started counting down from 4 in his head. And he took out a kunai and started throwing them in both of Gaara's thighs. And anyone really that was a real challenge, Gaara, Shikamaru, Sasuke, the real heavy hitters, Kankuro, So after time resumed, these kunais flew into everyone's legs and they fell to their knees because of the immense pain. Like Naruto would rip through their tendons, so they basically can't walk without being healed by a medical ninja. So the proctor seeing this, there were still some people up. Naruto didn't do it to Temari and Shino. So he quickly teleported behind both of them and used the world to, give them a few punches. Nothing to completely put them on death's doorstep, because Naruto, they're his teammates, or at least they are in the same village, so he doesn't want to do them too badly. So after this, Naruto thought the proctor would call the match, but he saw that Gaara was getting back up, but this time he was mad. and Gaara, sand started covering his body, and instead of forming this sort of dome around him like in canon, it just covered his body in a huge pile of sand. And when it all fell off, it revealed Gaara's half Shikaku state, and he started going on a rampage using this his Shikaku arm to knock Naruto around. But of course this really didn't do anything. The stand would block all of the punches. So once Gaara swung at Naruto, he would simply jump over it and run towards Gaara. Gaara tried putting up a sand defense, but the world punched straight through that and sent Gaara flying from the middle of the arena to the arena walls, almost sending him through it. So Gaara, he was almost knocked out, and Naruto, he stopped time and went to Gaara, basically looking like he teleported, and he gave him another punch, knocking him out for good. And Naruto thought this was, well, a good thing, but since Gaara was unconscious, this brought out the true Shikaku. And Temari and Kankuro, who were on their knees seeing this, they got scared and shouted for the Konoha Crush to start. So people from the stands, they started falling asleep because they launched a genjutsu, well, putting everyone to sleep. And Naruto, seeing this, realized the full scale of the attack. And Hiruzen, he looked over to the Kazekage and his disguise fell, revealing that it was Orochimaru. And Orochimaru, he pretended to escape by running up to the top of the arena, and of course Hiruzen blindly followed him, and this trapped him in a 4-barrier seal launched by the Sound 4. So while Orochimaru and Hiruzen's fight is going on, Naruto, he has to deal with the Tailed Shikaku. So this beast emerged and immediately broke down the walls of the arena, unfortunately not going towards the stands because there, Kakashi, Guy, some Jonin, they were dealing with the Sand Shinobi who were putting these people to sleep. And he released some other, people who would be useful against these shinobi from the genjutsu. So Naruto, he has to think of how he's gonna even stop Shikaku. And since Naruto doesn't know about the fact that if he just wakes Gaara up, he can put Shikaku back into his seal. So the biggest issue with fighting the One-Tails is its immense size, and Naruto only had one idea of stopping this, and that's to use his own tailed beast. So the world emerged from Naruto's body and A's stopped times, and while time is stopped, Naruto enters his mindscape, and in the mindscape, time is perceived even slower than the real world, so Naruto could be in the mindscape for like half an hour, and that would be the 4 seconds that the time is stopped in the real world. So Naruto, he walks up to the Kyuubi's massive cage, and he says, "Yo Kyuubi, you in there?" And the Kyuubi speaks to Naruto saying he's finally there to ask for his help, but Naruto made it clear that he wasn't asking for any help. The Kyuubi is living in his body, so he needs to pay up rent. The Kyuubi laughed and said, "You'll admit it eventually, but I'll give you my chakra this once." So the Nine-Tails chakra begins flowing through Naruto's body, and being that the world is a part of Naruto's body, it enhances the world as well. So Naruto, the world grows in size, not immensely to the size of like Shikaku, but to like around All Might size. Well, I'm not sure if you guys watch My Hero, but yeah, around like 8 foot. So Naruto, he has a surprising amount of control over the Kyuubi's chakra, and he immediately knows what to do. He draws the world's fist back and it punches the air in front of it towards Shikaku. And just the pressure from this alone sent shockwaves towards Shikaku, and it got knocked over a little bit, but it managed to save itself. Shikaku turned around to Naruto and said, "What does this pest want?" And then he'd shot out wind bullets towards Naruto, but the world kept on punching the air, creating its own form of wind bullet, and he kept on doing this, like rapid firing it. So this beat out all the wind bullets from Shikaku, and it hit it in its chest, in its shoulders, on its neck, and eventually on its head where Gaara is, and this managed to wake Gaara up, putting Shikaku back into its seal. Then Gaara began falling from, because the Shikaku is so high, he began falling, but Naruto quickly ran over and used the world to catch Gaara. So Naruto, he laid Gaara down on the ground, and Tamari, who, if I didn't mention, wasn't struck by any of Naruto's kunais to the thigh, she ran over to Gaara and checked on him to check if he was okay, and then she turned to Naruto and with some tears in her eyes said, "Thank you." And Naruto, he said, whatever, it didn't matter to me. I didn't care if he died or not. He was just falling, so I thought that was a good thing to do. So Naruto, he walked off, and then he remembered he saw someone attack Hiruzen, so he quickly went up to the roof where the barrier is, and Naruto, he witnessed Hiruzen's lifeless body flop onto the ground. And Naruto, he screamed no to the top of his lungs, and then he started banging on the barrier, but it wouldn't budge for Naruto. And by this time, the Kyuubi's chakra had subsided, and when finally the barriers fell, they all ran, and Naruto quickly ran to Hiruzen, and he was dead. He quickly looked towards where the Sound 4 and Orochimaru escaped, trying to see if he could catch up to them to get revenge, but they were completely gone. Naruto couldn't sense them, Naruto couldn't see them, he couldn't perceive them. So Naruto, he returned to Hiruzen, who is now surrounded by his personal Anbu, and they were sad too. I mean, they didn't want to show it, but definitely sad because they were a part of Hiruzen's personal Anbu, so they know him the best. So Naruto, he went around starting to clear the village of all the Sand Shinobi, making quick work of them, and this actually gave Naruto some good favor with the villagers because he ended up saving a lot of them who were about to die. And the explosions that were rigged to go off to blow up some of the walls in the village, Naruto, he made sure those did not go off inside the village, or I mean even outside the village that would destroy the walls. So after that, Naruto literally cleaned up the village entirely of all the Sand Shinobi, and when he returned to the arena, people were surrounding Gaara as he was being taken to a medical facility. And over the next weeks, this would come to light that the Sand wasn't actually enemies of the Leaf. They were being tricked by Orochimaru. I mean, they were surprised that the Kazekage was dead. And when they figured this out, that's when they told the elders of the village, who were now ruling in place of Hiruzen for a temporary time being, while they look for the next Hokage, which they have a good idea of who it's going to be. So after the word was spread that this wasn't really the Sand's doing, they were being coerced by Orochimaru, hatred for Orochimaru rose in the village because, I mean, they know him as this person who experimented on children. So they already have a bad taste in his mouth. Imagine, what's his name, Shao Tucker from Full Metal Alchemist, the level of hatred for him, the guy who mixed his daughter and a dog into a chimera. I'm sorry if I'm bringing up repressed memories because I sure did repress that memory, but because, alright, this is a sneak peek. I'm gonna do a video in the future, discussing something, and Shao Tucker is gonna come up, a non-what if video, so, I mean, there's your little sneak peek for that. But yeah, he came up and I had to rewatch those series. Lord, I am traumatized. But yeah, I'm getting sidetracked. Naruto was called into the Hokage's office by the elders, and he walked in and saw the rest of his teammates, Sakura, Sasuke, and Kakashi, and he was wondering what everything was about. And that's when they explained their next mission, and it was to find the next Hokage, Lady Tsunade. Is her last name Senju, right? Yeah, Tsunade Senju. So after hearing this, they were each given a picture of what she'd look like because they have none of her belongings, so they can't use Kakashi's Ninken, so that's unfortunate. But they must go on, they don't have to wait for any of that. So after that, they head out to the village, and the first day is spending going around to different bars, restaurants, casinos, trying to find any intel on where Tsunade may be, and they came up empty-handed. So Kakashi decided to let the team split up to cover more ground, and they would meet up in this one city. This city is having a festival, so they'll meet up there after 2 days. So Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, they go around searching, to different places, showing the pictures, and Naruto actually got a lead saying that she was here, but she left like a week ago. And the person who owned the store, they didn't know where she went, so Naruto, he just had to move on to the next, and he didn't get any more useful information whenever he went to the other stores. So After 2 days, Naruto, he went to this village area that was having the festival to meet up with his team, and when they did meet up, none of them really had any useful information. So after renting a motel, Naruto getting his own room, well, all of them getting their own room, they all went to a local bar like in the town to get some refreshments to chill. And as soon as Naruto walked into the store, he saw out of the corner of his eye this lady that looked almost exactly like Tsunade gambling, and Naruto put two and two together, and when he turned, he sees Tsunade, her pet pig, Shizune, gambling against, well, Naruto doesn't know this, but they're gambling against the owner of the bar that they're in. And of course Tsunade loses, living up to her nickname. So Naruto makes this clear to Kakashi, and they all go over to Tsunade, and by the time they reach over to her, the owner of the store, he's already walking away. So they all sit down next to her, and Tsunade immediately recognizes Kakashi, and she asks what is he doing here, as well as what are these kids walking around with him for. So Kakashi, he explains the situation in the village and how they were attacked recently, and they desperately need her help as not only the leader of the village, but to heal some of the people who were injured in the attack. People like even Lee. Lee was still badly beaten by Gaara, so he desperately needs her help, and she's the only one who can help her. So Naruto, he's watching as they're talking, but Tsunade, she seems like uninterested. So Naruto, he comes up with a proposal. She has to come back and lead the village, do everything Kakashi said. That's if he wins in a fight, and he won't even lift a finger to her. And Tsunade, she starts laughing like, who does this kid think he is? Does he know who I am? Bro, I can defeat this kid with my pinky. So she's like, okay, alright, I like those odds. So she says meet me outside, and Naruto actually obliges going outside, and when they start this fight, and Naruto, his hands are to his side, and Shizune, she's covering her eyes, not wanting to see this poor kid get hurt. But Sasuke, he's like, yeah, she's gonna get fucked. So as Tsunade runs towards Naruto, she gets blindsided by a punch by the world, sending her off into the forest in front of the bar and slamming into a tree. Tsunade, she looks up like, what the hell just happened? And Shizune is surprised as well, while the people on Naruto's team aren't actually that surprised because they have really and truly gotten used to this. So Tsunade, she gets up and tries going at Naruto again, but still gets punched and held back. And she finally forfeits because what even is this force holding her back? She doesn't even know. So Naruto ends up winning, and after winning, of course Tsunade has a bunch of questions, but Kakashi, he holds onto her shoulders and says, don't even ask, you won't understand either ways. So Tsunade, she sort of understands, and that evening they actually went back to the village because it wasn't nighttime when they found her. So Tsunade, she was already ready to leave because she's always on the go, so she doesn't carry much with her. So all she needs is Shizune, who has all her stuff, and they're really and truly ready to go. So Kakashi, all he does is has Team 7 return to their motels and return their stuff and of course book out. So after this, they head back to the village, and all of this journey, there's nothing really happening. They just walk to the village and it takes like a few days. But when they finally arrive, the people are actually really excited to see Tsunade because she is the legendary Sannin. That's like if somebody who you look up to in life just comes and strolls by you. I mean, it's a really cool experience. So of course Tsunade, she does her work in the hospitals, healing up almost everyone because there were some life-threatening injuries that she led the medical team into pretty much bringing them back to full health. Even Lee, who we know got messed up by Gaara. So yes, Tsunade officially becomes the 5th Hokage and she starts doing her duties almost immediately. But we'll get into that in the next part because that is where I'm going to be leaving this one off. Yes, I know, oh my god, this video is really short. We only really went through the Chunin exams and Tsunade retrieval. We haven't even got to Shippuden. I am so sorry, but yeah, the last part of this, which is the next part, is going to be way longer than usual. Maybe 40 pushing 50 minutes. So yeah, super sorry for that, but I just wanted to get this one out. I know you guys have been waiting for days, so I hope you enjoy it. And if you did enjoy, like, and if you enjoy my content in general, consider subscribing, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next What If.